Hello Summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan Ng, and today we'll be talking about the right mindset and how it can drastically improve your win rate in League of Legends. It doesn't matter if you're following our meta videos, picking the right champions, and using the best builds. If you're not playing with a good mindset and a good headspace, then you're probably going to lose. Everyone gets frustrated and even angry from time to time, but we'll be looking at how to deal with all of that so you're not holding yourself back. Before we start though, hit that sub button. We love making content for you guys, and doing so will help us out a ton. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. So, to start things off, let's talk about what a good mindset is for climbing League of Legends. There's no exact answer or perfect formula for this, but the general idea is that keeping a positive mindset will teach you to accept that you need to improve, accept that you can't control what others do, and help you recognize that losses happen, and sometimes it's completely out of your control. Actually, more often than not, it is. Once you consistently do that, you will always be able to put in your best effort. Before we talk about how to avoid a bad mindset, let's talk about what causes yours. Everyone has different buttons to push, so today's question of the day is what tilts you the most? Things like feeding junglers or useless Yumis can be bad, but for me, the worst is definitely the keyboard warriors whose egos won't let them stop typing. They'd rather focus on blaming each other than actually how to make a comeback. That means they've already given up, making it impossible to win. Let us know your answers in the comments down below. Okay, so with our points laid out, let's start with step 1. Why being positive matters. As most people know, your emotions can directly affect how you perform in the game. If you're in a good mood, you're more likely to make better and safer choices, while on the flip side, when you're mad, you're more likely to tilt and go for the riskier plays, resulting in inconsistencies. This is why you often see people go on big win streaks, only to have it cancelled out by a big loss streak, so they end up right back where they started. Of course, bad luck happens, and you may actually lose to a team diff a few games in a row, but more often than not, if you're chain losing games, you're probably one of the contributing factors. Even if the first loss or two weren't your fault, if you keep queuing up after losing multiple games in a row, the tilt can often sneak up on you without you realizing it. It can make you play more recklessly, and some people even tilt so badly that they start to first-time random champions with the mindset of, well, if I can't win on my main, let's try something new, which just works further against them. And your negative attitude won't just affect you if you're playing like Wukong, a total monkey. You're likely going to be making more mistakes and making your teammates mad, and the tilt will spread and result in an easy loss. Since you're already irritable, you're more likely to be toxic in chat. Basically, nothing good can come from playing tilted. So, how do you avoid being your own anchor? The best thing that you can do to avoid playing with a bad mindset is learn how to take breaks from the game. I already said earlier that tilt can sneak up on you, and often you won't even realize how badly tilted in the game you really are. So instead of waiting till you feel tilted, try setting a rule, like if you lose 2 games in a row, take a half-hour break, or if you hit a 5-loss streak, just be done for the day. Or drink boba between every single match. That's the best. It's sort of how people say that if you get in a heated discussion with someone you feel strongly about, you should probably take a day to think about it, or just wait until your emotions aren't clouding your judgment, and then come back to the conversation with a clear head to avoid saying things that you don't mean. This is oddly personal. Tactics like this work in League just as well as they do in every real-day life, and it can definitely have a serious impact on your success and your relationships. Okay, so we've established the baseline of why being positive matters, but let's look at some more specific ways it can help. Starting with how a good mindset can actually help you accept that you need to be better to climb. In all ELOs, League is filled with players that are in constant denial. Trust me. If you're an avid stream viewer, you know that even challenger players let their ego get in the way of accepting that they made mistakes. For me, on the other hand, when I stream, I know I make a ton of mistakes, and you guys can watch them happen at twitch.tv/Nathan_ing. I'm just gonna plug that in there if anybody wants to play with me on stream on Wednesdays at 6 8 p.m. PST. It doesn't matter. Anyway, behavior like this prevents you from learning from those mistakes, and also can lead you to blaming your teammates and ending with a typical battle with each other rather than the enemy team. So, how do you go about changing your mindset about this? The first thing is that you need to realize that everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're a bad player. Even the best Korean pros get solo killed and go for bad tower dives. But the difference is that they know how to say sorry, that's my bad, and carry on with the game. There is a fine line though of not being too hard on yourself, to the point where you can't even improve. When you recognize that it's your mistakes that are causing bad plays, and sometimes even being the sole reason that your team loses the game, you'll be a lot more inclined to look back at your games, find some mistakes, and learn how to avoid them in the future. Compare this to the alternative of spending 10+ minutes talking about the one botched tower dive that happened early in the game, and we have a pretty clear winner. It's gonna be you, if you have the right mindset. And if you're serious about wanting to learn from your mistakes and climbing to higher ranks or having somebody just point out those mistakes for you, check out ProGuides.com. It's always so much easier to climb when you have another pair of eyes on your gameplay, especially somebody with a lot of experience. Our challenger level coaches can pinpoint every mistake, telling you exactly what you need to do differently, and they can also offer you some personal advice on how you can keep a good mental and stay focused in your games as well. Just like with your decisions, if you're living your entire league life convinced that your teammates are the sole reason that you're losing, you're not going to be critical of your mechanics either. This will cause you to plateau or even play worse when you combine the recklessness that we talked about earlier. Eventually, bad habits become so ingrained that they'll eventually define your playstyle. Once you fix that, you'll be able to cautiously put effort into improving your skills. You'll think about each click that you make, improving your skill shot accuracy, and learning more from the advanced macro techniques, like punishing your opponents every time they go to farm. The key to success is working smarter, not harder. If you're playing 2 games with a good mindset, and you're really paying attention to those decisions and working to level up your mechanics, it's a much better practice than a 15 games per day grindfest, where you turn off your brain every single time you queue. On that note, I highly recommend you check out our video specifically talking about how practicing hard can make you worse in League. In it, we dive deeper into the subject, explaining how it happens and the steps that you can take to avoid it. Now that we talked about how accepting your own flaws can make you better, there's one more truth that this can all help you accept. You can't help it if your teammates play badly, whether it's intentionally feeding or not. We all have bad games, you included, and also the enemy team, so it's inevitable that your teammates will not often play at their 100%. Having a good mindset will help you in this department for a couple of reasons. 1. It'll help you refrain from making needless comments in the game. Like the saying goes, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Saying something sarcastic after somebody flops a play can bring down your team's morale. They already know they made a mistake sometimes, and you bringing more light to the situation will not make them feel any better. If it doesn't help you and can make you play worse, why would you do it to them or even encourage them to int? So you're better off not doing it at all. Instead, try encouraging your teammates instead of putting them down. Saying something like it's okay, just clear jungle and play for drag can be constructive and also very helpful. Communication is super important in League, not just to coordinate players, but also keep the mood up so everybody's playing to the fullest even when behind. The second reason is that it'll help you realize that some games are completely out of your control, and that's okay. That should alleviate a ton of pressure from you. While we always encourage you to play your best, we also encourage you to play consistently. Sometimes the game is completely unwinnable, and it can be best to FF and move on to the next. Sometimes it's even worth a Q dodge. Getting over impossible games can help you prevent from tilting and keep your focus on the winnable ones. The last bit of advice I have that can help you with your mindset is to always focus on playing to improve, not necessarily to win. I already mentioned earlier, but you have to accept that you still need to improve, but this tip is about reshaping improvement as your primary goal and letting winning more games become a more natural byproduct. This one is just a simple shift in the frame of mind. If you're dead set on winning every game, it'll be much harder to stick to the other things that we talked about in this video. Every loss will be frustrating, and the second things look bad in the next game, you'll be prone to tilting. Remember, you're the only constant in your League of Legends game. The other 9 players are different variables each time, unless you get that one Corki that flamed you in the game before in the next game. But regardless, the only thing that you can control is you. If you take time to focus on every essential part of the game better, you'll actually be able to see the results over time. Here are some of the areas that you should be looking to improve in. Higher CS per minute, lower deaths, higher damage contribution, high percentage of kill participation, and higher vision score. Of course, these don't apply to every single champion or role, but you get the idea. Once you level up those performance in those areas, the wins will come naturally. And don't be discouraged when you hit a wall. Keep working at it and you'll eventually make it through. I had a friend that was stuck around Gold 2 and 1 for years, but once he hit Plat, he climbed to Diamond in a couple of months. Maybe with the help of ProGuides, maybe not. But regardless, it was the help of a changed mindset. While these tips have been about how to have a positive mindset and increase your win rate, remember that we're still real people behind the screen. It can be easy to get caught up in your frustrations from a series of bad games, but it's not worth attacking somebody over it, even yourself. Just think about how it feels to be on the receiving end of it. If you're likely doing bad, you likely know that you don't need to be kicked while you're down. And that's all we have to talk about in this video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to sub and never miss out on another great content like this. Remember, just let us know what tilts you in the comments down below. And one last thing, don't forget to check out our Discord in the description box below, where you can hang out and be a part of our community. I can't wait to see you guys back for the next video, but until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.